and we're going to continue on with that series tonight. We are talking about no complaining, how to avoid complaining, and the church actually is on a fast. We are on a fast of no complaining, but this fast started with me and my wife. Me and my wife started this fast in September, and we did the month of September of no complaining, and we're going to talk about some of that tonight. But before the church went on the fast, I had the church staff to go on the fast, and tonight you're going to be blessed to hear from them that some of the things that happened to them. They all received a journal like this. It's called Grateful. My gratitude journal, In Everything Give Thanks. The whole staff received one, and tonight everyone here, you're going to have an example. You received an example of the sheets that are inside of the gratitude journal. So tonight I'm going to ask the staff to talk about. I will use this mic. We're going to ask the staff to talk about how they were impacted by the journal.
No, I actually wrote mine down because sometimes when I speak in front of people, I get nervous and I forget what I want to say. So for me, participating in the No Complaining Gratitude Fast has allowed me to be more thankful every day and to find gratitude in small things that I sometimes take for granted. And that can be just any little thing every day, things that we do, things that we have, people that we have, just things in our lives that until you really think about it, you're not as grateful as you could be. And as far as the no complaining, I'm not really a person who complains a lot. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and I said, it's easier for me to not complain because I don't work in the public and I'm not around people every day. So it's easier for me, not to complain to people. And then also because I'm a very private person. I don't share a lot, whether it's, complaint or even good things. That's who I am. So that part was actually easier for me than to notice the things that I should be grateful for. For me, that was just the hard part for me. But having said that, I was thinking, especially today, even if we don't complain to other people, sometimes we can have a complaining mindset. And even if we're just thinking about things or even to ourselves, that can be considered complaining. So I've been trying to work on that myself. And then for me, sometimes, I'll just be honest, it's hard to every day be grateful for everything. I have a lot going on right now, and sometimes it's just hard for me to pick out the good things, but I'm working on that. But anyway, the journal, for me, I'm thankful for the journal because it reminds me every day to find things to be grateful for. And when Pastor Brentley had originally gave it to us, he asked us to write 5 things every day. And you think that would be easy, but without being repetitive, it's not always easy. It's not easy to find something, something big. But there are so many little things that we have, and I've found myself just picking out even the smallest things that normally I wouldn't even think about or that I take for granted myself. So I just want to say, there's tons of things every day that we can be thankful for, even if it's just, the people in our lives, or something like power, water, food. People don't always have all of the things that we have. And we need to be more grateful for even the small things and not just look for the big things, but everyday things. So I'm just grateful that you ask us to participate in this, because it has allowed me to be more grateful and more thankful, and to be more aware of everything that I have in my life. So.
Thank you. That tag Sister Rhonda Akers in that. That's who that was, Sister Rhonda Akers. And Sister Trish, you want to stand or?
Well, I am very thankful for the gratitude journal. I do complain a lot, especially in my own mind, more than you would ever think. With everything that I do find myself complaining a lot, and did not realize the negativity that I was speaking into my own life. We also had a CD that Pastor Brentley gave us, and the lady was talking about the theory of attractiveness, that the more you complain, the more stuff you attract to complain about. The more grateful that you are, the more things you'll attract to be grateful for. And that really struck me, because it's like I have woke up in the mornings just like, okay, gotta get up. My legs hurting, I couldn't hardly sleep last night, toss and turn. And sometimes that just starts out how your day is, how you get up out of bed. But I was grateful for. And that has really helped my day, changed my day a lot. A lot of the things that I was grateful for, I have taken for granted. Just like having a peaceful home to be in. Our home is very peaceful, it's very quiet. It is just, I've had people tell us that our home, when they come in, it's very peaceful, it's very quiet. So I am thankful for that. I was thankful for a couple of times I was told no by somebody. And because that person told me no, I was able to not go into temptation. So I was kind of upset about it at first, but after, the day went on, and I would write in my journal how I was thankful that that person told me no, I felt better, and it happened a second time, and they told me no again, and I'm so happy that they did. But this has been, for me, it's been a life-changing experience for me, and I am definitely going to continue writing down what I'm grateful for, and not just for me, just for when I would hear prayer requests for people in the church, I would say, Lord, I'm grateful that you're going to touch that person. Lord, I'm grateful that you're going to heal God's people today. Lord, I thank you for everything that you're gonna do today. So I'm just really thankful, and I want to discontinue speaking that negativity into, number one, my life, and then the person that I'm complaining to, I don't want to put that negativity in their life. I want to continue to be thankful. It does help you have a clearer mind. It's like I told Pastor Brentley, with this gratitude journey that we've been on, I've been more open and grateful for the vision that they have. I feel more eager to work, and not just another thing being put on my shoulders. Is now I'm grateful that there's a vision that I can work toward. So that's definitely changed my mind on a lot of things. And I just thank you for letting us be a part of this with you.
Thank you. All right. Last but not least, Church Secretary Betty Anderson. You want to sit or stand?
Okay. Most everything that both Trish and Rhonda said, or how I feel also. But every day in my journal, the very first thing that I put down was I was thankful to wake up that morning, because you don't ever know when you're not going to have another day, especially when you get to my age. You wonder. But I am thankful every day for waking up, and just the small things, like Rhonda said, the things that you don't even think about. My one thing, the first day that we did this, one of the things that I wrote down is that we have a pastor that really cares for us and wants to share his calling. And I have never, ever heard him or Celeste. I think that this was an easy challenge for them because they don't complain. And I'm like, Trish, I am a complainer. I complain a lot. But being given this book and writing down every day, even these very, very, very small things, waking up in the morning, having food in the cabinets. When you get in your car, you've got gas to go where you want to go. You don't have to walk 10 miles to go get something. Just those little things that you'd never even think of. You do things without thinking. So you're not being grateful when you do that. You have to think about those things. And that's what this has done. And I'm not saying that there weren't days in here that I wasn't as grateful as the first 5 pages. I was very grateful then because I filled those pages up. But the last week has been kind of hard. And there's been things that I had to sit down and think, well, what am I going to write on this line? But it has taught me not to be so negative with the people in my life, especially my husband, because I tend to take things out on him. If I feel negativity in me about anything, he's the catcher. So it's helped me not be so negative with him and be grateful for him. A lot of people don't have someone like him that just, I never have to ask for anything. I know I can go get it. I never have to worry about anything. I know that I'll have it. So I appreciate this so much, and I think if everybody starts doing this and starts writing down, even if it is something little. And I know Pastor Brentley thought the first thing in my book would be my grandchildren. It's on the first page. But I am thankful for them. I'm thankful they're healthy. I'm thankful my children are healthy. And I'm thankful for this church. I'm thankful I have a place to go, that I can feel the love of everybody in this church. And I love everybody in this church. And that goes along with being grateful. You have to have love to be grateful for things.
All right, thank you so much. So that was really good, wasn't it, to hear from them how this has impacted their lives. And so that's what we're going to do for this month. So the whole church, as I said earlier, Sister Brentley and I, we started out September, then the staff did it in October, and now you are doing it for the month of November. And not only are you here, the local church, doing it, but people all around the world are commenting and chiming into the posts that we've been doing on a day-to-day basis on being grateful and to stop complaining. So tonight we want to help you to stop complaining. And so we want to work on some things. Again, we gave you an example of what our journals look like, and ask you to make your own journal. And you can use these sheets as an example. You started out with the date, and then you go, today I'm grateful for, and you can list a minimum 5 things, but you can go on and on and on, front and back. As they said, several of them did 5 pages just at one setting. And so you can find those things to stop complaining about. And so the opposite of complaining, I'd like for you to write this down tonight. The opposite of complaining is gratitude. So that's the number one thing to get you to stop complaining, is to start being more grateful. So how about you? How did it affect you when you talked Sunday about it, but
Yes.
we'll chart you out there.
Like I said, Sunday, I thought, I didn't think that I did a lot of complaining, but it took me all of 30 minutes to see that I do complain about, maybe, like Sister Trish said, maybe having to get up on that day when I should be grateful that I can get up and walk and talk and do things for myself. So this has definitely impacted me. I just think now before I say something about how I'm going to say the words that are coming out of my mouth.
I think that's important. One of the things is this has helped me with too is to process my words before I speak them out of my mouth. And so you may have thought that your mom, when she was telling you to be thankful, you might have thought she was telling you good manners.
Right.
But she was really putting something in you greater than just having good manners. She was teaching you a way of life. And so that's what gratitude should be. It should be a way of life. And so I believe gratitude is the number one attribute of the most successful people in the world. They're thankful people. They're grateful people. A grateful heart, Sister Trish mentioned this, a grateful heart is like a magnet. Yeah. If you can just imagine a magnet, how the two magnets come together, or a magnet will go towards steel. A grateful heart is a magnet. It will draw other people to be more grateful. And because it's the opposite of complaining.
Or it can be the opposite.
Yes, you want to talk about that?
You
Being negative.
Draw negative people to you. If you're a negative person, you're going to attract negativity.
Yeah, they call it out here the law of attraction, and
Right.
that's a literal law that works. So if you talk about being broke and talk about lack and talk about being sick all the time, that's what you'll have. Because we know the Bible tells us that death and life is in the power of the tongue. And so we have to guard our mouth. We got to guard our tongue. We got to guard the words that we say. Here's an amazing stat. Do you know the average person complains at least 15 to 30 times a day? Now that's the average.
So that means that somebody is a little less, but somebody is a whole lot more.
That's right. 15 to 30 times a day. And most people don't even realize that they're complaining.
Right. And like Sister Trish said, you might not complain to somebody, but what are you saying to yourself?
Yeah, internal complaining.
Right.
So say, let's kind of do an example if we're in the elevator, okay? So we're in the elevator and it's snowing or it's cold outside.
Okay.
All right, and so I'm in the elevator, you're in the elevator. We don't know each other, okay? Or we might know each other or whatever. But I say to you, man, it's cold outside.
It's going to be worse tomorrow.
All right, so
What if?
Okay. So she's saying tomorrow's going to be worse. So does that sound like a complaint to you that I said, man, it's cold outside, and then she says it's going to be worse tomorrow? Does that sound like a complaint? Well, that is a complaint because, I mean, it's a fact, but why did I come off with something negative about how cold it is? So let's twist it a little bit and say the same thing, but let's not make it a complaint. Let's make it more of, we can still express gratitude by talking about the weather. So I would say something, man, I'm glad I have my jacket on with this weather that we're having.
I got to read my line. So my line is supposed to be, tomorrow's forecast is going to make me stay in the house and drink hot cocoa.
Okay.
And that was very hard for me. I've been repeating this all day. So that tells you that complaining is easy.
It is.
But renewing I've been thinking about this. The thought came to me is not complaining, but being grateful is renewing your mind.
Romans
12 and 2. We have to renew our mind. We can't keep thinking and doing the same thing and thinking that we're going to get a better result, because we're not. We got to renew our mind.
That's exactly right. So we want to give you out some points on what some complaints are. Like Sunday, I worked on the children of Israel coming out of Israel, and they were headed toward their goal. They were headed toward the promised land where they wanted to be, where God had promised them to be. But their dreams were thwarted, and because of their mouths. And you're headed toward a goal. You're headed towards your dream. You're headed towards some things in life. And just like the children of Israel, you can hinder that from happening. They did a lot of things. They murmured. They murmured about the problems, complained. They complained about the water.
Yes.
They complained about the food. They complained about the weather. They complained about their shoes. You said their clothes. And even Moses, they complained about their leadership. And all of that kept them stuck in the wilderness. Look at Joshua chapter number 5 and verse number 6. It talks about how the children of Israel were going to be going around. It says, for the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, unto whom the Lord sware that he would not show them the land, which the Lord sware unto their fathers, that he would give us a land that floweth with milk and honey. So we see it took them 40 years, but it was really only like an 11-day journey. But look how stuck they were out there. So what we want to do is help you to stop complaining so that you're not stuck doing something for 40 years and never get into your dream. And so when you hear that story about the Israelites, that's pretty pathetic, isn't it?
It is.
It's pretty sad that they were doing, what were they doing all the time? They were really struggling out there in the wilderness all those time. And so research shows that a lot of people struggle with a lot of things. We're going to pick out a couple. One is weight loss. That's probably the most noted challenge that people have. And so let's think about weight loss, how long you've been dealing with it, how much of a burden has it been to you, comparing you to the children of Israel that were out there for 40 years. Can somebody battle that same thing? They never reach their dream weight. They never reach the look that they want, and they've been battling it all those years. And so that's my point tonight. Can you have a problem that you never overcame and you've been battling it for a lot of years?
I think you do. But my question would be, what would be the beginning of changing that,
Okay.
besides not complaining?
Yeah.
Okay, you start not complaining, but what's your next step?
Well, then you have to, there are a lot of other things that you have to do to get the weight off or to get to the desire. One to me would be, do you remember the ideal weight? Do you have a picture of yourself when you
Setting a goal.
set a goal? You got to have a picture. If you can find a literal picture of you at that weight, look at that every day. Don't let it become depressing. Let it be encouraging that I can be that weight. I know I was that weight before. And I would even go to the extent, if it was a major problem in my life, and I'll just use weight as an example. I'm not opposed at cutting my face out of a picture and putting it on a body of
You're
a
looking
weight.
for.
I'm not saying a weightlifter or some major guy. I don't want to look like Nick Hayes. That's not what I'm saying I want to do. But I would find something, just a regular look that I wanted to be. Put my picture on there and say, I'm going to look like that. So those are things that you can do yourself. And that's biblical. That's not like just some new thing come up. Haggai, I think it was, the writer of the prophet said, write the vision
And make it plain.
and make it plain so they that run can read it. Well, you need to know your own vision.
Right.
Without a vision,
The people perish.
people perish. You got to know what your own
You gotta
vision
keep
is.
it before you.
You got to keep it.
Because if you, like, so many times, like, for instance, New Year's,
Mhm.
people make goals, but they don't write them down. They just say,
Yeah.
I'm going to the gym every day.
Mhm.
But they don't have anything to remind them that, hey, yes, I do need to go to the gym
Right.
today.
I saw someone made a post, said their bank called them and said, we noticed you got a gym membership, so we were wondering if somebody had stolen your identity. All right, so if you complain about something constantly, we use weight, we use finances, whatever it is, you've had a goal. I want to have X amount of money at a certain time, and you never reach that. What's the problem? The problem is you. You are the problem, because you can make your dreams come to pass. You just have to be disciplined enough to do it. So write down this definition for the word complaining. I like this definition. It means to stay another night. Now, what does that mean? To stay another night.
You're not moving.
Yeah,
You're there. You're staying.
another night.
Another night.
You're stuck. And so every time you complain about your situation, you cause yourself to remain another night. You don't get to where you want to go.
Your destination.
Yeah, you have a destination. They want to get to the promised land, but for 40 years, we should do the math on that. How many days, how many nights did they have? Another night in the wilderness, another night in the wilderness, because of their complaining. It couldn't get them into the promised land. So if it's year after year, night after night, so complaining means another night, another year, another month, doing the same old thing. So I mentioned your finances. Sometimes people that complain, they stop complaining verbally. I want to go back to you mentioned this a moment ago. But inside, they're still complaining. What do you think about that? That even though they're not saying it out of their mouth, but they're doing it in their heart.
I don't know I still say they're complaining.
Okay.
They're not bringing out negativity on you per se, but it's still within them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think that scripture that comes to me is out of the heart, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yeah.
So it's still coming out of you.
Right. So some people think, well, just because I'm not saying it, I'm not
Right.
complaining, but
Right.
it's
We
still
are.
there. You can still complain even though you don't have anybody to complain to. You can still complain. So there's negative consequences to complaining. A couple of things you want to write down. We have 4 points that we'd like to give you that is a consequence to complaining. The first one is it stops your forward momentum. Your forward momentum. So the Israelites, they stopped going into the promised land. And so what are some other things that can stop you from your forward momentum? Like that can be a hindrance to you if you allow it there, if you're complaining about? What's some things you can complain about that will stop you from going forward? What? Like your kids. If you're complaining about your kids all the time. We could be a bunch of things. It'll keep you personally. You're complaining about other stuff, but it's hindering you. The more you complain about your children not getting married or your children never coming to see you, and it's hindering you more than it is your children. It's stopping you. Another one is your body. If you're always complaining about your body, and that's hurting you. The complaints is stopping you from getting momentum. Your family, your health, your finances. How about your career? You ever heard anybody say, oh, I'm tired of that stupid job and that crazy boss and my dumb coworkers? Well, who is that hurting? It's not hurting your crazy boss. It's not hurting the stupid job. It's not hurting your weird coworkers. It's really hurting you. So it's stopping you from your forward momentum. Another thing you write down, the second thing is that it stirs up dissatisfaction in others. This is our point about complaining is contagious. Okay? So you're stirring up dissatisfaction in other people. Everyone, after hearing you complain, what's going to happen?
They're going to start complaining.
They start
also.
complaining.
And
That's
it
right.
changed the whole atmosphere that you're in.
Yeah.
Also.
So everybody's affected by your complaining.
Right.
And so it stirs up distractions in other people. And you ever had that one person come into work? You're thinking about them. They come into work and they start complaining.
Right.
And the whole day, the next thing you know, you will, or other coworkers jump right in there instead of stopping that. And so we want to help you to change the atmosphere.
Right. We want to be the thermostat.
Yeah.
and not the thermometer.
That's right.
We want to change,
Yeah,
be the ones that change the atmospheres.
that's right. So we don't want to be pulling everybody down.
Correct.
We gave you that statement Sunday. Complaining is contagious, and we had a little emoji about it. The little guy with the mask on. We don't want to be contagious by putting complaints out there, and neither do we want to be receiving them. The third thing is it becomes a way of thinking. Anytime you're complaining and the consequences from it, you don't want to allow it to become a way of thinking. Now complaining has really gotten down into your bones. And the more you complain, it becomes more of a habit. You know,
And
anybody,
I
or
think that goes back to what I was saying about renewing your mind.
yeah,
We want to think the way that God would think and not the way that we think. Because we see, thinking the way that we think, what it can do to your overall life. And we want to live as Jesus would live.
that's right. Amen. All right. So the more you complain, the more it becomes a habit, and you don't want to make it a habit. And so some people are complainers. They got that as a title. And you can change that. You don't have to stay a complainer. You can change it, like you said, by renewing your mind. So everything, you know, to a complainer, everything is bad. Everything stinks. Everything's rotten. There's nothing good. For a complainer, you can do 99 good things for a complainer.
Right, but that one
The one thing you
makes
do.
it awful.
And that's
makes
all
the
they
whole
focus
thing.
on.
Right.
And so we don't want to do that. Last point is it magnifies negativity. One of the staff was talking about that a moment ago, how complaining magnifies negativity. The more everything around you, the more you complain, everything else around you becomes negative too. And for some people, it's easier to find negative than it is positive. And so we want to watch that in our life. So while we're on this fast, you will sense how much people around you complain. Some of y'all been picking up on that? You notice more complainers now that we're on this fast. It's kind of like if you were fasting natural food, say if you were fasting chocolate. Seemed like everywhere you go, there'd be chocolate commercials or somebody's eating chocolate. Well, that's how it is with fasting complaining. You're going to hear a lot of people complain. And you'll be shocked to see how much you even complain while we're on this fast. So you got to guard your mouth. You got to be consistently watching what you say when you say it. So we want to help you with some benefits in the last half of the service today. We've got 5 benefits of gratitude. And you can write these down in your 5 spaces on your list if you want to, or somewhere in the margin. So 5 benefits of gratitude. Again, your mind is like a magnet. Positive and negative magnets, what you're going to attract, what you're talking about. And so when you are grateful, you will attract more things to be grateful for. All right. So our first point is gratitude improves your self-esteem. What do you think that means?
I think that one thing that when you're grateful, you're saying thank you God for making me, thank you for bringing me into your family. It helps your self-esteem because your focus isn't on someone else wishing that you were like someone else. You're thanking God for what He put within you.
Yeah, so you want to build your own self-esteem.
Right.
And everybody, you have something to be grateful for. So stop complaining about other people. Focus on the positive things in your own life, and that will make you feel better. Just thinking about positive things will make you feel better.
And it does. When I was thinking, I was actually laughing at myself because sometimes especially in church, you look at different people and the gifts that they have, and you're like, man, I wish I could do that. Or, I wish I could be like them. But I've started actually saying, thank you for me knowing that person.
Okay.
Because if I needed maybe their help in this situation, I can go to them. You know, I have someone physically that I can go to, but also in turn, I'm thanking him for what he's put in my life and asking him, you know, what is the gift that somebody can look at me and say, thank you for her.
Yeah, okay, good. So it builds your own self-esteem, and you can begin to say, Lord, I'm grateful for this job. I'm grateful for where I work. I'm glad I have opportunities. Sister Betty was talking about just having gas in the car. When you start showing gratitude for little things or big things, you will see your own self-esteem will get better. It will improve more about you. Another thing that gratitude does, it improves your physical health. So we were talking about self-esteem. That's psychological. That's your mind thinking and your attitude. But how about just your physical health? How can being grateful help that?
Just being happy.
Proverbs
happy with yourself.
17:22.
Okay. And that says that a merry heart is good like a medicine.
Yeah. So being happy, showing gratitude will help you. There's a study out here that says that people who are grateful have less aches and less pains. Think about that. And so they've studied that over time. But people who complain all the time have more aches and more pains. And so we want this medicine that Solomon mentioned here in Proverbs 17:22. Another scripture is Psalms 100 and verse number 4. It talks about entering into the presence of God with thanksgiving. And I like to hang out right here for a little bit. When we talk to God, we should go in thanking Him.
Yeah.
So with some examples before you start praying, you can say, Lord.
I just often say, especially in the mornings, I just thank him for a new day, like Sister Betty said, and just thankful that I can get up and that I'm breathing, that I can see, that I can walk and that I can talk. Just the little things that a lot of people just jump out of bed and take for granted, but I take the time to thank him for all those things.
Yeah, so you see this verse, it said, enter into his gates with thanksgiving. So before you come to God, you need to be thankful. And so I say stuff like, Lord, I'm grateful you are here. Talking about the Lord. Lord, I'm grateful that I'm saved. Lord, I'm grateful that I can see. Lord, I'm grateful that I'm alive.
Yes.
Lord, I'm grateful that you forgive me of my sins. Lord, I'm grateful you give me second, third, fourth, fifth, 100 chances to still be good. You know, I'm grateful that you're going to be with me today. Just things like that. Before I even put a petition out there, Lord, I'm grateful. Now, we're going to get the amplified version on this verse. I like it because it says we should be thankful and we should say so. So, look at this. Enter his gates with a song and thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Do we have the Amplified Classic? I got it. It says, be thankful and say so in the Amplified Classic version. Be thankful and say so. So now we need to say something. It says, and say so. You need to not just write it down. These journals are awesome. The notebooks are awesome. Your iPads are awesome to type down what you're grateful for. And that's a way of saying it. But I think it does something different when you say it out of your mouth. That's why I was glad to have the staff tonight. That's why I had you to say something before the lesson on Sunday. You need to say it out of your mouth. And you need to say some of the things I was saying earlier. Lord, I'm grateful that you woke me up. Lord, I'm grateful that you gave me a car. Lord, I'm grateful. And say, Lord, I'm grateful that you, and then fill in the blank. Y'all write that down. Lord, I'm grateful. Like on the top of your note sheet where it says today, I'm grateful for, just put in front of today, put Lord, today, I'm grateful for. Put the Lord's name there because we need to come before his presence with thanksgiving and say so. And so one of the things that you can do with this gratitude journal and this note, You write down every day, every morning, things that you're grateful for, okay? And I want you, after you write them down, I want you to say them out loud. Just like we got our bookmark that we quote every day. Read out loud the things that you wrote down. And then there's nothing wrong with that night when you go to bed, read what you wrote down that morning out loud. Say it out loud. Faith comes by hearing. I believe it comes faster by hearing yourself. You know, you can close your ears with earplugs and talk, and you still hear yourself through your inner ear. It's important that you hear yourself. All right, point 3. Gratitude improves your relationships. So now we talked about your self-esteem. We talked about your physical, you. Now we're talking about those that you're connected with. How can gratitude improve relationships?
Just letting them know that you're grateful for them, that you're thankful that they're a part of your life. I think shows a lot.
And I think it builds a greater bond by expressing gratitude, by saying I'm thankful for you. Will make our bond closer and tighter and stronger. So in the marital relationship, you want to tell your spouse that you're thankful for them. You got to express that. And let's think about gifts. If I give you a gift, or let's reverse it on me so you'll talk. You give me a gift, okay? And I don't tell you thank you. How does that make you feel?
If it's you, I'm going to say, why hadn't you told me thank you for that gift? Because especially if it's something that I really know that you want it, but you've never done that, you're good about telling me thank you.
But it would bother you if I didn't.
Yeah, I
But
think
let's take
so.
Lil Paul. He's good at it too.
He's very
But
good.
say you got him something and he never told you thank you. That would bother you, wouldn't
that
it?
would bother me. I would probably go to him and be like, did you not like this? Like, what's wrong with it?
Well, let's use it now with him in New York.
Okay.
So you can't just go across the hall and ask him.
Okay.
So you've done it. You've bought him stuff, sent him money, groceries, whatever. Do you expect a thank you from him?
I do. And yes.
And when he doesn't, then
I
what?
say, did you not get it? Is it not the right color? Are you not? And usually he says, Mama, no, I like it. I just hadn't had a chance to really talk to you about it.
So let's talk about that. So sometimes you might have somebody that you bought a gift for and they haven't told you thank you yet. They might have got busy. They could have went out of town. They might not even gotten it yet. So you sent it Amazon, and they haven't gotten, so you haven't got that thank you. But in the back of your mind, you're like what?
What's going on? I have a good example of this.
Okay.
And since then, I actually said I'm going to write her a thank you note. We've been married for 23 years. And I saw a lady maybe 5 years ago, and I know she's still in Kings Mountain because she has a business there. And when I saw her, she said, did you ever get the gift that I sent you for your wedding? And I was like, yes, I use it all the time. And I've never, I told her thank you, but I'm gonna make it a point to send her a thank you for that.
Well, we probably sent out thank you cards after our wedding. We probably
maybe,
did.
but
we might have missed her.
Yeah.
Or that might not
But
have, she might not have got our thank
for her to
you.
say something,
Yeah, she may not have
about
got
it.
our thank you.
well, maybe I need to take it to her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I
but,
think you should.
yeah.
But wow. All right, so you could give somebody something and they don't ever tell you thank you. And like we said, they could have got busy or something like that. And they missed out from giving you that. Well, what about the next time you're supposed to give them something and they never told you thank you? Do you think you may be less likely to give them something again?
Yeah, definitely.
Just because they didn't say thank you. Well, the opposite is also true with this gratitude thing and thank you. If you do thank somebody, statistics show us if you thank them, they are more likely to give you a gift
Something else.
again. And then here's something that's really even greater than that. Have you ever thanked somebody and then they told you, thank you for thanking me?
No.
No, okay.
I've never had anybody to do
All right.
that.
So I have had that before. You give somebody something, or you gave them a thank you, and then they turn back around and say, thank you for thanking me. I don't always get thanks. And so we need more of that. We need more of hearing thank you, and we need to give thanks. And wouldn't it be great if we heard people say, thank you for thanking me? So let's do that. While we're on this no complaining fast, when somebody thanks you, thank them for thanking you to show your appreciation. That'll get us in the habit of saying thank you. We got about 10 minutes. We'll get questions in a minute, all right? And so one more point, two more. All right. So people are more likely to give you something again if you say thank you. And you know who we should thank more than anything?
God,
Jesus,
Jesus.
the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. When something awesome happens in your family, in your life, you need to say thank you to that person. But we also need to say, thank you, Jesus. So that needs to be something that rolls off our tongue. I'd like for you to write that down. Thank you, Jesus. Number 4, gratitude improves sleep. You believe that?
I believe it. I believe.
You sleeping better?
I
Or-
am sleeping so much better. I am. And I think going to bed, being thankful, yes, definitely. It has helped me to sleep. You're going to bed thinking on the good things of God, you know, the good things that He has allowed in your life. So why not have a peaceful sleep?
Yeah, I
because
think it
of
goes
that?
back to saying your night prayers. You know, science tells us that things that are written down, it's proven that it helps you sleep. And I think our night prayers is part of that, but saying it helps you, but not like writing it. You know, I think it's emphasized by writing. Saying it is good. You can go to bed saying your prayers. A lot of times we go to bed saying our prayers and we have a list of stuff we want. But if you were being grateful, and then if you were to write that down, I think that would emphasize it even more. And then when you go to sleep, that's what you have your mind on. And not only does it do it at night, but what you're doing an amazing job at in the mornings.
Yeah.
So just like at night, it helps you sleep better. Writing things down in the morning,
Helps your day.
does it make your day
Yes,
better?
I absolutely think so.
So it sets the tone for your day.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Okay. All right. So instead of going to bed tonight and counting sheep, I want you to go to bed tonight and count your blessings. All right. All right. Last point. Gratitude increases mental strength. What does that mean?
I'll let you explain.
All right. So mental strength, overcoming stress. Yeah, stressed out. When you are more grateful, you'll see that you have less stress. So it strengthens you mentally, and it makes you stronger in trying times. A lot of times people will ask me, how in the world are you not torn to pieces in the middle of this? And it always goes back to my gratitude bank. I go back to, when I'm in the middle of a crisis with you or whoever it is, and I'm not frazzled, it's because I'm drawing on my gratitude bank. I'm filling up my gratitude bank all the time. So when I get in the middle of a mess and it's crazy, that's what's sustaining me. It's all of those times when I was thankful, when I was showing gratitude. It's what I call my pick-me-up. It just brings me out of the dumps. And so when people ask me, I got two things. When people ask me that, how can you be okay right now? Number one, in my mind, this is not for your notes, so you don't have to write it down. But in my mind, the first thing that pops in my mind is it could be worse. That's always. I don't know why. It could be worse. The second thing that pops in my mind is somebody else has already been through this and they came out of it. Not they went through it and it destroyed them, because there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that you can experience that somebody hasn't experienced. It might have took somebody down, but there's some people that overcame it. So I always look at the problem that way, and that keeps me from getting frazzled. One, it could be worse. Two, somebody else has already overcome it. It was kind of like when I opened my Subway franchise, and my pastor was telling me about it, and I was going to open up a sandwich shop at the mall. Y'all remember the mall had on the third floor, was it the second floor, third floor, had all the shops to eat. And we went and we looked at this place, and we wanted to open up a deli. And I was going to call it Our Daily Bread, playing on words. And so my pastor, we went and we looked at it and everything, and he had been in the restaurant business before, and he was like, okay, looks pretty good. And then while we were just talking, it dawned on me, well, Subway's already done this, because we were trying to figure out where we're going to buy bread, where we're going to do this, where we're going to do that. And I was like, well, we could copy the model of Subway, you know. And he was like, well, why reinvent the wheel? They've already done it. And I was like, I can't get a Subway. There's no way I can do that. And then Shaquille O'Neal, for some reason, popped in my mind. And Shaq had left LSU early and was making all this money playing basketball for the Magic, I think it was. And I said, I was older than Shaq by a couple years. And I was like, if Shaq can go do that and make that money, why can't I make it? See, it was my mindset that I would always look at somebody else has been at this crossroads and they done well. So why can't I? And I became the youngest Subway franchisee in the history of Subway, until a little rich young guy broke my record at 20, but I think I was like 21. I was the youngest franchisee ever. And but I did it because of I saw I could do it. And even though there was an obstacle in front of me, I found an example. And I pulled on that example. So tonight, I want you to know that you can be grateful, more grateful. You don't have to complain. And you can be able to pull on that bank when it seems like there's no way out, because somebody else has already done it too. All right. So we got a few minutes here, about 6 minutes before we end our hour. There's probably questions online and things like that. We appreciate everybody watching, but we have a comment or a question here from Brother Bryant.
A lot of times when I don't know if this is common now, but someone would say thank you, and then we'd say you're welcome.
Yes, right.
Is that similar to gratitude?
That is similar to saying thank you again. Somebody says, you say thank you, then we come back with you're welcome. That really got me in Africa. They say you're welcome first before they say thank you. And a lot of times they're saying you're welcome, like you're welcome to come in, but they go around saying, they say you're welcome. Kind of like saying you're welcome before they say thank you. That's a little joke. All right, Brother Nick, what you got? Don't give him time to say thank you, right?
I read a study this week about they took 3 people and they sent them through they sent one where there's like 3 people in each placebo group. They let them sit at home and do nothing, sit on the couch. And they took another group of 3 and made them go through like a workout program for like 9 weeks. And then they took another group of 3 and gave them these workout tapes that they would listen to for an hour a day. And they would, in the tapes, it would like guide their mind to like imagine them doing the workout and like tell them like imagine their muscles breaking down and stretching apart. Well, the group that sat around and did nothing, they had no muscle gain. and the group that went to the gym had a 28% strength gain. But the people that sat at home and imagined and heard those tapes, they had a 24% strength increase.
Wow.
And they didn't even step foot in the gym. So what you said about having like gratitude, it can improve your physical strength and your physical, body. I guess it can go to like posture and stuff.
Right.
It's all about what you hear, what's coming out of your mouth or somebody else. What you hear, go into your mind, it reflects. What's in your mind reflects yourself physically.
That's good.
All right, good. Do either one of y'all remember the example on the CD about the knee? Does anybody want to, the knee surgery? You want to share it?
You can help me if I don't get it right. Well, they did a study. I can't remember if it was 2 people or 3 people.
It was 3.
3 people that they were all having problems with their knee. And the first person, they cleaned out the knee. The second person, they
Put them to sleep, but they just made little
incisions. They really didn't do the surgery at all. They put them to sleep. They did the little incisions like they did the knee. And then the third person, I think they did a full surgery on. I think it was 2 years later. All 3 of them reported the same amount of relief, even though there was one that didn't have the knee surgery. They said that the doctor said the mind expected the knee to get better, so it did.
So it did.
So, and those are scientific exams and things that people have done. So people don't understand how much your mind influences your physical body and your well-being. So you need to be positive.
I heard them talking today about a study, scientific study they did on the brain. And they said that if you speak in tongues, I can't remember if they said a lot, but it increases your immune system. Seemed like they said 40%.
I don't remember the numbers from that study, but I heard it talked about. That was the doctor from one of the doctors that he's in a church in Detroit. Yeah, I heard him talk about that. Yeah, but it's just the mind. Your mind. We talked about your mind being a magnet. What you dream about, what you think about, you bring about. And so we need to make sure we're thinking on the right things. The mind that has stayed on God
Have perfect peace.
has perfect peace. And Paul said, let this mind that was in Christ Jesus.
Also in me.
Yeah, we can have the mind of Christ and we can think like him. And when he was here, he was God in the flesh. He was made flesh. He was the God-man, but he took on this human body. And he could have easily did the same thing that the first Adam did and allowed this flesh to overcome him, but he didn't. He stayed the course. He did as his father commanded him, wanted him to do. He said, I don't do anything unless it pleases my Father. I work here and my Father does too. And so we can do the same thing. We have the mind of Christ and we can work for the Lord. And we can change our situation. So it's the enemy that will tell you you can't change. And the more people that complain, they listen to themselves more than they talk to themselves. And if you start talking to yourself instead of listening to yourself, and when you talk this. You talk the word. Don't talk your own self and your own, what everybody else is saying. You talk the word. What does the word say about me? And if you talk that and believe that more than you will your own self, I guarantee you can overcome. So you don't have to go around this mountain for 40 years. Whatever your condition is, whatever you want to overcome in your life, you don't have to 40 years from now look back and say, man, I never was able to accomplish that. I said many times, the richest place in the world is the cemetery, the grave. It's full of dreams, it's full of visions, it's full of books, it's full of churches, it's full of ideas that people died with that they never let out. Well, we don't want to be those people. We want to let those visions and dreams come out so that they become a reality. All right, thank you so much. It's 8 o'clock. Thank you to everybody that's been watching around the world. Continue following us. We'll be posting something every day about how to help you overcome complaining. Today I said I wanted people to tell me something funny. I said, tell me one thing that you're thankful for that is funny. And I started off and said, I'm glad I don't have bad hair days. That was mine. All right. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter number 13 and verse 8 says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God bless you. Thank you for watching.
Amen.